Hey addicts, I'm Josh.
I'm Michael.
And today we got another comic related video for you today. We're here to talk about issue 2 of Die, Die, Die. And to start us off, I guess we'll talk a little bit about the things that we know from issue 1. Kind of like a little bit of a recap in case this first issue or the first video that you're seeing of this series. So this follows Paul, I guess seemingly a group, a little team of a bigger group that is kind of like assassins, and it's more of a action / espionage series. And from what we learned in issue 1, so this is your spoiler warning here, we get to see that Paul has 2 other brothers that are identical twins. So it's like a triplet.
Yeah,
is that right?
There may be 3 brothers.
Yeah. I guess they could bait and switch. But anyway, that's in speculation. So we get to see a little bit more of their backstory. We get to figure out that their father was actually a really well-known assassin of the world. And so he was like, I guess they like spotted him one day, like chopping off some dude's head. And they're like, wow, look at what Daddy's doing. And Daddy's like, I'm going to teach you how to kill people. And so,
yeah, there's a great just an image of like a maybe 7 or 6-year-old kid driving a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Being an assassin.
And like all 3 of them like attacking one dude at once, even though they're like itty bitty.
Yeah.
It's pretty great. So we get that little bit of backstory. Kind of gives more of, I guess, just confirmation that they're not clones or like people that are made to look like them. They're actual brothers.
3 brothers.
Yeah. 3 brothers. Yeah. That's gonna be the title of the video.
Okay.
And in this issue, we get to see Nate and John actually go to this castle where Paul is being held. And I guess the people that captured Paul were people that had a vendetta against him. So they're like, well, instead of killing you outright, we're going to sell you to the highest bidder to like anybody of your enemies. And so they're having like a slave auction basically for Paul. And there's just a pawn there for no reason.
We're pawns.
Paul is a pawn.
Paul is a pawn.
And anyway, so you get to see Nate and John going through. The third brother, which we still don't have a name for, is actually there too. And
I have one. He's called Evil Brother.
Yeah. Ebro?
Ebro, yeah.
Ebro, yeah. And I won't spoil it here, I guess. This is issue by issue, so we're going to do spoiler. He gets in a confrontation with Paul, basically murders him. And then
he could be alive.
Yeah, he could be alive. I don't know. He got shot like right here. Maybe that missed his heart. But anyway, and then this Ebro assumes Paul's identity, and Nate and John take him off. And we get to see a character that we get to see another person of the organization. I don't believe they've listed his name, but he is somebody that Connie knows and is like a higher up in their organization. And he actually has connections with somebody that was at the slave auction. And we don't really, I guess we have a name for her, but her name's like Baroness something. It's some weird foreign name that I'm not going to try to pronounce. But, so that kind of sets up the world and how these people are connecting. But I guess getting on to some favorite moments. Michael.
So, I did like there's a scene where, Nate and John, am I right?
Yeah.
They're in an airplane, and they get off the airplane, and he's like, I think Nate asked John, he's like, hey, man, I slept 3 times, and I saw that like you hadn't moved in these 12 hours, and you were just staring blankly. He's like, yeah, I was in my own mind. There's too much information in this world, so sometimes you just have to think. Anyway, it was just like, what?
I like those by far. I think just in the series so far that we've seen, Nate and John's interactions are like a highlight for me, just because they seem like they have the most intriguing.
And it looks like they're the 2 on the cover, so
yeah,
they're going to be main characters.
And I'm really glad to see that they didn't die, because it seems like people are expendable in this series. Not to be confused with Invincible.
Yeah, different.
But yeah, the action was pretty good. I do like the new characters that they introduced. The mysterious man at the organization seems like he's a bit of a threat. When I was reading that, I was kind of thinking of Cells at Work, because he had the whole analogy with the human body.
Yes.
I do like... I I don't really necessarily like Connie as like a character, but I do like how
She's weird.
I do like how I guess like straightforward like confrontational she is with people. She's like, I don't give a crap what you think.
Yeah, I don't know. She's a weird character. I do kind of cringe every time I see her doing the weird things that she's doing, drugs and all that.
I mean, she's a politician, so it's to be expected. But...
Okay. So, moving on from that, what would be your kind of recommendation?
For this, I think it was a really good issue. I think I like this issue a little bit better than the first issue. That's not to say the first issue was bad, because as you can tell from our other video, I said I did like it. This one, I think, ups the action part of it. We get to see more of them going in and taking out people. And I am curious to see how the new characters interact. It seems like they're setting up a betrayal, maybe, or a kind of like double agent in their organization. So I'm really curious to see where that goes. As far as if you should pick this up or not, I think you should. It's going to be real hard waiting for the series. It seems like, they have a good amount of characters, I guess, already introduced, but if you get it in early, it's kind of easier to remember. Mm-hmm. So I would say go ahead and pick it up. It's pretty on par with the first issue.
Yeah, I liked that. I'm not really bought in all the characters, but I am bought in with Nate and John. So I hope neither of them die, or maybe the evil bro doesn't replace John, because I like their dynamic and everything. Mm. So that's probably the most promising element that I've seen in this series so far. As far as the other characters, they're interesting, but I don't know. I'm not committed to them yet. I feel like even 2 issues in, I'm kind of committed to like Nate and John and how they interact.
So here's a question for you. Since, at least at the time of this recording, we have to wait another month for the issue, do you have any speculation or things that you would like to see in the next issue, or just the series in general?
I think I would like to see the repercussions of Evil Bro being part of the organization and like hiding his identity. Or also I want to see if the other individual, Mark, is actually dead, or if it's just a farce. And I want to see more of Nate and John hanging out and killing things.
I want to see what they're going to do about his nose.
Yeah.
Like, are they going to give Paul's nose to the Ebro, and then Paul comes back, like, it figures out that he didn't die, and he's like, "That's my freaking nose! How dare you take that?" I'm just
actually, I think the best plot twist is he puts the nose and it gets infected because it's not his nose, and he dies.
But I don't know if biology works.
I don't know how biology works.
But yeah, but seriously though, I do think that Michael hits on his head. It'll be really intriguing to see the third brother kind of playing a double agent, or just kind of to sneak his way into this organization. I'm really curious to see his motivation. It kind of makes me think that he has some form of I guess, history and beef with possibly the older guy that we saw in this issue, because, he's talking to Paul, saying that, I have something more important that, goes past you. And, I mean, it was severe enough that he attempted or either did kill his brother. And so I'm curious to see what is so important that he, just did that.
Yeah, and we don't really know the antagonist, who the antagonist is yet. But.
Yeah, so that would be my thing, just seeing how that connects to these characters that we were introduced in this issue, and then seeing if they are the main antagonists for this, for like the foreseeable future, or if we're going to see a bigger threat be underway. But I also think that the next issue could focus on just a regular mission, and they don't focus too much about the over arc of them dealing with him being an imposter. So that's always a possibility. That's probably the more plausible route, but...
I would say that, yeah.
We'll have to see.
Well, this has been Die Die Die, Issue 2, our review and speculation. And we'll get back to you guys with more of this series. Got a lot more comic content coming out in this next month. It may even be the month of comics for our channel.
It probably will, because I'll tell you what, with him... He reads the light novels really fast, and then I have to play catch-up. But for some reason, he can't read comics very fast, and so I have to wait for him to play catch-up. So it just kind of goes back and forth between those. But
But yeah,
It's coming, rest assured.
It is more content is on its way. Well, check out all our other content, light novels, my series, and ours, I guess.
Yes. Go watch his Underplay.
Go
Or Undertale.
Undertale play. Undertale play. That's a hard word. Anyway, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Later, X.